Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Tommy2118 and today I wanted to do a little bit of a review on the Elder Scrolls Online. The game's been out for a little over a month now, so a lot of people had an opportunity to get out there and play it. I myself have played it quite a bit. And honestly, the target audience for this may be for new gamers. Maybe somebody's been looking at the game saying, I don't know if I want to go out there and do it. Maybe you're a first-time MMO player. I'm not really sure if you want to do that kind of investment. I would keep in mind that this is not a tutorial. I'm not really showing you how to play the game, just kind of giving you my thoughts and feelings month deep into the game. First thing I want to throw out there, this is an MMORPG. That can be very intimidating for someone, especially if you've not played one before. I myself had a long break. The last MMO I played was actually Star Wars Galaxies. That was the original one, and I really enjoyed that game, but I really didn't find myself playing any other MMOs, mainly due to time and family constraints, whatever else. And I finally found myself in a situation where I could start playing one again, and honestly, this was a good platform for me to leap from. With that whole concept of a massively multiplayer online RPG or any sort of massively multiplayer game, you have the concept, are you dependent on other players in order to have fun? Honestly, I think it adds to it, but with the Elder Scrolls Online, especially early on, you're not really dependent on other players to get from point A to point B to enjoy yourself. There is going to be some late game stuff where I think you're going to find yourself more and more dependent on grouping and getting in with a group of other players. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. But like I said, it's much later in the game, and hopefully you're more comfortable with the concept there. Another somewhat intimidating factor about this is it is a subscription-based model. You know, a lot of these online games have different models out there, whether it's buy to play, free to play, and then you've got your subscription-based, which honestly that's what we were looking at here. And I'm not going to get into what's better or what's best. Maybe someone should or should not have done that. I'm just going to put the facts out there that this is a subscription-based game, and you get 30 days free. So essentially, if you buy the game, you have your 30 days. If you don't like it, you're not out any more than you would have been with any other game. You went down to the local video game store or downloaded. You've paid your money. You don't like it, it sits there, collects dust on the shelf. If you do like it, you continue on a subscription, and here they're actually touting the fact that they're going to be pushing content updates every 6 to 8 weeks or so. So essentially that subscription is going to pay for more and more game content down the road. That's what they're saying. We'll have to kind of wait and see what we're actually going to get for that money. Another thing out there is that the Elder Scrolls has a legacy of games dating back to 1994. And sometimes people are intimidated about hopping into something that they don't understand the lore. And the Elder Scrolls definitely has a lot of lore. It's very lore intensive. But myself, I only played a couple. I'll be honest with you, I played a little bit of Skyrim and Oblivion. I was aware of the other games out there, but I don't recall really getting into them and playing them. And I think honestly, you can sit down and play this game, especially if you're a fan of just RPG games, and you're going to be just fine. I don't think you're really missing anything. I don't think you have to go rent any books from the library to get up to speed. The learning curve is just not that steep. Talk about the user interface here. And the reason I kind of bring this up, once again, it's not a tutorial, but I went from playing a lot of console games to this coming back to a computer-based game. And I found that the mouse and keyboard is very smooth, and it's a natural motion. It might have been a little awkward at first, but even if you've been playing a lot of console games, I think that the transition back is going to be relatively easy. This also has a 5 action button control, for your attacks, as well as you have your normal attack, your block, and then your ultimate ability. And the reason I bring that up, I've seen some of these other MMOs that have literally 10, 15 buttons to manage, and you come into like a button management process there. I don't think you're going to find that so much here. Realistically, you're trying to manage your magicka, your health, and your stamina, and then the buttons seem to be pretty natural. Essentially, you're using the right ones at the right time, and less is going to give you more, in my opinion, on this. I really kind of like the user interface. So let's talk about the player versus enemy piece, the PvE. This is honestly your main focus and your main aspect of leveling your character up. This part you really don't need other characters to assist you with this. The actual questing. Questing, world bosses, your public dungeons. This is where you're building and leveling your character up. Now you can do some of this with a partner, with a group per se, but it's not necessary for those of you out there who are really a little skittish still about that. It's really got an open feel to it. There's no concrete path that you must go this way, you must do this mission now. But what you'll find is the world areas kind of progress with you. They get progressively harder. And if you find yourself in a spot where you're going to kind of get wiped all the time, you're probably in somewhere that's a little over leveled for you, and just kind of backtrack and find somewhere else. So that's kind of an organic way of kind of leading you through the game without kind of forcing you into it. The main storyline actually will lead you through where you're supposed to be. And it's triggered by you achieving so many levels there. So that's kind of your guide there, so you won't get too far lost through there. And what I found too is that your character tends to level pretty much with the storyline, which what it means is you really don't have to grind or repetitively kill monsters to gain experience. It's kind of nice that it'll kind of walk you through and you're right where you need to be. That's a personal thing for me. It's not saying you can't grind, and that's not saying that sometimes you're going to be a little under-leveled. But for my experience, it tended to kind of drop you right where you're supposed to be. Now, honestly, one of the aspects that I seen about this game which pushed me over the edge to go ahead and get it was the player versus player, the PvP action. Once you get your character to level 10, you're able to go to Cyrodiil and fight against other players. You know, as you get into the game, you find there's 3 factions that are duking it out for control there. And once your player gets to level 10, which is relatively early on in the game, you can go out and take part of that. It's almost like a game within the game, because it's completely different fighting style as far as fighting a real player versus an enemy artificial intelligence AI there. And you're grouping up, you're collaborating with the other individuals that are a part of your faction, you're taking castles and keeps, and you'll find that the map really changes control hour to hour, day to day. For me, it's very invigorating, it's a lot of fun out there, but honestly, it's not something that you have to do. You do not have to do any player versus player to progress through the game. You're going to get your money out of the game without going ahead and doing that, but I highly encourage you to at least try it out. The other nice thing is your player's automatically leveled when you go into this player versus player zone, so you don't have to worry about, well, I'm going up against a guy who's level 35 and I'm only a level 10. It's taking that into consideration, and you're going to at least be competitive at that level. What everybody's kind of looking at right now is the veteran content that's coming out, the Craglorn. And this is going to be the first major expansion, or I hate to use the term expansion there, first major level of new content that's coming in there. And this is definitely, from what I'm reading, from my hearing, is going to be group-based. You know, groups of 4, groups of 12, doing more of a raid-type concept. There's still a lot of unknowns about it. This is going to be more geared to the individuals who've already level capped, but it's very, very exciting there. But once again, I'll caution you that that looks to be more group intensive. So if you're kind of a solo player, I'm not really sure what that's going to bring to the table for you. The crafting in this game is really intense, in my opinion. I mean, it's very broad based. You're going through armor, weapons, food, drink, and various forms of those armor and weapons there: bows, staffs, leather, cloth, pretty much something for everybody. You can sell this stuff to make money, you can trade with other players, and what we found for the most part is the stuff that you're out there crafting and creating is a better quality than what you're actually finding in the game for the most part. So there's a benefit out there for doing this piece. You know, some folks actually just, that's all they're really focused in is the crafting, and they can leave everything else. Personally, I do like the crafting. I think it adds to it. Now, there also is in-game guild functionality. This is where you're kind of joining a cooperation of other players. There's an actual going to be a focused chat window, and as well as other things, like some stores that are available to you, some other banking options for the guild piece. But honestly, I'm going to take this a different direction here for a second, going off those guilds, and really encourage the real-world guilds. When I played Star Wars Galaxy years ago, it was something that was intriguing to me, but it's nothing I really did, and I've came across and seen these guilds, and I always thought, well, I'm not strong enough of a player for that. I don't know enough about this stuff to be part of a guild. But essentially, I actually just went out there, went on a limb, and joined one, because it was very intimidating for me at first. But you'll find that there's a bunch of guilds that are suited to your playstyle. If you're the hardcore raider gamer, then you're just ready to jump in there, you're ready to invest all that time and energy into it, there's a guild out there for you. If you're the weekend warrior, or someone who's only got a few hours in the evening, maybe a little bit longer on the weekends, there's a guild out there for you. They're a wealth of knowledge and info. This is actually individuals that are they have a interest with you, and they're willing to put the information out there and help you, even when it comes to crafting, when it comes to grouping, getting through some of this stuff. They also find that they do a lot of user created content. They'll start orchestrating events to do within the game. So whether that be a player versus player competition, whether you're going through and teaming up with some friends there to take on some world bosses, you name it, you're going to find that within a real world guild. You'll also find that they have either Mumble servers or TeamSpeak servers, and this really adds a new level to the game, where you're doing like on a voice over IP, and you're able to chat real time with them. Yeah, your wife might look at you funny for the first couple of minutes, but she's going to get over it, and you're going to find a new level there to the game. For me, I find it's very hard to play and type, so it's a have to for me. So kind of encapsulation of that in closing there, I find that this is a very immersive role-playing game, and it's got some longevity there to it. A large segment of it can be played standalone. The MMO part is honestly right there, and it kind of grows on you as well. So for the fans of the RPG games, I think that give you enough right there. And honestly, if you're a fan of MMOs, there's enough meat there to kind of keep you on board. And now I'll throw out there that if you're the type of person that's kind of got to get in and get out of a game, if you only got 30 to 45 minutes a few times a week, this game might be too involved for that. It might take forever to level a character. You might not even be able to complete some of the quest lines or whatever else in that time. I'm not saying you can't do it, but I want you to really consider those in and out players. If you're a nights and weekends type player, though, I mean, you're definitely okay. You don't have to be someone who can invest 4 or 5 hours a day to really get your money's worth out of this game. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks again. That was Tommy2118, and that was my thoughts and opinions on the Elder Scrolls Online.